All right, guys, so yesterday we did not really talk about completing the square when the a value is something that's not 1. So in a question like this, actually you might have seen a question like this yesterday on the homework. I don't remember exactly what number it was. But if you looked at the key, I just divided out the 2. There's actually another way to do this question because just dividing out the 2 wouldn't work if you have an a value and you have to convert to vertex form. So I'm going to show you how to do that with these two examples right here. And this should help you for the homework today. So the first thing you're going to want to do is put it in standard form, set it equal to 0. So we're good there. After that, what you're going to do is you're going to put in the plus or minus. So we're going to go 2x squared minus 6x plus minus plus 7 is equal to 0. What's going to happen next is we're going to set this section in parentheses. And then we're going to actually factor the 2 out of the 2 terms that have numbers here. So we're going to go 2x squared minus 3x plus minus plus 7 equals 0. And then what we're going to do is we're going to complete the square with these two values. So negative 3, cut it in half, and then square it is going to be 9/4. So we have 9/4 to go here, and 9/4 to go here. In this section, we now have a perfect square trinomial, so we can factor that. So that's going to become 2, and then in parentheses, we have x minus 3/2 squared minus 9/4. Notice I added another set of parentheses inside of the original set of parentheses we had. That plus 7 is still on the end. And now what's going to have to happen from here is we distribute the 2 to both of these things. So it's going to be 2x minus 3/2 squared. And then now the parentheses are gone because we distributed the 2. So 2 to 9/4 would be 2 divided by 4 would be a 2 in the bottom. So that's 9/2 plus 7 is equal to 0. And now the 7/2, or the 7, we need to put it in terms of halves. So this is really going to be 14/2. So now we have 2x minus 3/2 squared, and then negative 9, positive 14. That's going to give us positive 5/2 is equal to 0. Okay? And then now we're in vertex form. If we needed to solve this question, which the question asks, now we just need to solve for x. So it's going to be 2x minus 3/2 squared is equal to negative 5/2. From here, we have to divide off the 2. So we have x minus 3/2 squared is equal to negative 5/4. And then we square root both sides. We get x minus 3/2 is equal to plus or minus I radical 5 over 2. And then add 3/2 to both sides to get an answer of x equals 3/2 plus or minus I radical 5 over 2. So the extra step that shows up when you do this type of question is right here when we factor out that 2. Okay? And we're throwing in a new set of parentheses. So let's actually do this next question then, where it's just a lot of decimals. When we have decimals like this, you're going to want to keep those decimals and not worry about fractions too much, because the fractions would be super long and they would get super duper messy. So if there's decimals in the problem, stick with decimals. So in this question, we're going to follow the same procedure. We're going to go 0.065x squared plus 3.7x plus minus 12.5 is equal to 0. Change this color. So then from here, remember we're going to pull this 0.065 out of both of those things. So 0.065 will move to the front, and it's going to say x squared plus, and then 3.7 divided by 0.065 is plus 56.923x plus minus, close the parenthesis, minus 12.5 is equal to 0. Okay, we always close the parenthesis before the c value. So we close the parenthesis before the c value. All right, continuing on, we're going to take 56, we're going to cut it in half. So 56.923 divided by 2. Sorry. That's going to give us 28, so that's 28.4615. And then from this, we need to square that number. So we're going to square it, and that would give us 810.0, we'll just go 057. So 810.057. And now we need to factor this. So we have 0.065. Our factor is x, and then it's positive. So x plus 28.9615. And that's squared. And that gets rid of all of this section right here. And then we're also going to have negative 810.057, close the parenthesis, minus 12.5 is equal to 0. Now we distribute that thing that we pulled out earlier to both of those. Okay, when we distribute it, remember you have to multiply the 810 by 0.065, so 810 times 0.065, that gives us 52, so this is 0.065 times x plus 28.96, I'm just going to go 2, squared, minus 52.654 minus 12.5 is equal to 0. Now we can go negative 52.652, or 4, minus 12.5. So notice how these decimals are just crazy long. Okay, we wouldn't want to keep these as fractions. Working here with decimals is okay. So we have 0.065, and then that's going to be x plus 28.962 squared minus 65.154. Okay, so now we're in vertex form. From here, we could solve this question. So we add the 65.154 over, so it's 0.065. X plus 28.962 squared equals 65.154. Now we're going to divide that number by 0.065, 0.065. Okay, so now we're getting kind of big with our numbers. So it's x plus 28.962 squared is equal to 1,002.365. Square root both sides. So we take the square root of that. That gives us 31.66 is equal to x plus 28.962. Can't forget my plus or minus right here. And then the last thing, subtract the 28.962 from both sides. So we get x is equal to negative 28.962 plus or minus 31.66. And that can actually give us two answers here, right? So 28.962 negative, and then plus 31.66. So we get x is equal to 2.698, and x is equal to 28.962 negative minus 31.66 is 60.622. Okay, so these would be our two solutions when we're working with decimals. So decimals, definitely a little bit more work going on here, right? Because we're writing decimals. Honestly, guys, probably 2 decimal spots is good. I kind of went a little overboard with 3. But that's how you're going to do completing the square when the a value is not 1. Notice that on this note sheet there's a bonus. If you guys can complete the square here and solve and figure out what formula you get, I'll give you 2 bonus points on a quiz or a test. Just turn in this note sheet with that bonus done, and then I'll be able to see that. This is due, I'm making it due next Monday at midnight, so you have some time to figure it out. All right, hope you guys have a great day, and make sure you're working on the worksheet.